Welcome, everyone, to the 2025 Revitalize Your Midlife Symposium, Day 4. Can you believe it? It's going by so fast. This event is designed to inspire, empower, and enlighten as we navigate the intriguing journey of midlife together. June isn't just marking the arrival of summer, my favorite time of the year, I'm just going to say. It's also my birthday month. And this symposium is a testament to my personal belief that everyone deserves the right to feel good in their body and my ongoing commitment to lifelong learning. Midlife is a period ripe with reflection, growth, and most importantly, opportunity. It's also a time that I learned just yesterday with our last guest that we spend most of our time for women in this phase. It's a phase where we can leverage our past experiences, welcome change, and confidently stride into our best selves. My aim with this symposium is to equip you with the tools, insights, and motivation to successfully maneuver this thrilling chapter of our lives. If you leave this event with even one piece of valuable information, I'll consider this symposium a triumph. This year's symposium is sponsored by the Small Space Pilates and the Sisters in Service podcast. If you are watching live, if you have any questions that you'd like to ask, please ask them live. However, if you're unable to join us real time, it's okay because every moment of this is going to be available for replay. Now, let's get to my guest. We have been talking about bone health. We've been talking about perimenopause and menopause. We've been talking about our brain. And you know what the connector is? Nutrition and movement. And that's what we're going to be talking about today is plant-based nutrition. And my guest today is the amazing Kim White. Kim is the founder and fierce leader at the My Sexy Business team and community. She is also a wife, a mom, and a fur mama, and she has spent an amazing amount of years growing and building relationships in her business. And she usually says that she's a serial entrepreneur, she's an author, she's a speaker, she's a podcaster, collaborator extraordinaire, leader of the MSB team, mastermind leader, and magazine creator and founder. But her and her husband have been plant-based for consecutive 1,997 days. I would like to welcome the amazing Kim White.
Thank you for all of that, Kat. I would have never said all of that. Thank you.
I had to take a breath. I was like, I'm ready to go.
I just want
Well,
to be known
Kim,
as
welcome.
fun, Kat. That's
You
it.
are fun, yes. And I forgot to say, she's also one of my dear friends. So it's amazing to have you here. Kim was here last year, so she's a two-timer. And Kim, I want to ask you what happened in your life, or what was the decision for you and your husband to become plant-based?
Well, I don't want to go into the whole story, Kat, because it's too long, but like just the overview. My mom fell and broke her hip and she was hospitalized and then like had a horrible ordeal up until her death, which was like 3 years long. I I watched her suffer and I knew I was experiencing some symptoms that she was as
Mhm,
well. I'd watched her go through things.
mhm,
I did not feel good. I was so tired. I couldn't hardly get out of bed. I was just really struggling. And I decided I have to do something different or I'm going to end up just like my mom. And
mhm,
so I started doing research and there's so many different varieties of experts that want to tell you all the different ways. And I had to find what was going to work for me because I
mhm,
didn't want to die. If you want to know the truth, that's the motivation.
mhm,
I didn't want to die like that. Um, so I started researching and ran across Dr. Esselstyn, Dr. Essie, who is the
mhm,
one that really made the most sense to me. And he was all about plant
mhm,
based. He was reversing heart disease in patients. He
mhm,
was doing all kinds of things that were different and contrary to what my
mhm,
family had experienced. I had a lot of heart
mhm,
disease, a lot of diabetes in my family, all those yucky
mhm.
things.
All those yucky
And
things. Yeah.
all those yucky things. Because that's a professional term, by the way.
Yes, it
But
is.
we just decided that, and I went to my husband, I did the research. My husband was very unaware, but um, we had gained a lot of weight on top of not feeling good. We had gained more and more weight.
Mhm.
And I went to him and I said, "Look, I am going to do this thing. I'm drawing a line in the sand here. This is what I'm going to do. Don't worry. You can do what you're doing now, but I have to do this or I feel like I'm not going to make it." And he
Mhm.
said, "Well, I'm in for a penny or for a pound, and let's do it." And he volunteered himself to do this adventure with me, having no idea what the outcome would be. Like, he had no idea. He didn't even really, I think he didn't really even know what he was signing up for, but I love him for that reason. Like,
He
he
wanted to do
just,
it with you.
he
You know,
did.
I I wasn't there during the conversation, but it seems as though he understood where you were coming from and wanted to take that journey with you. And you need to hold on to him because he's a keeper. I'm just gonna say.
I agree, Kat.
Kim, for our audience that are listening, what exactly is plant-based? What is it?
So there's lots of versions. I just want to say that too. This is part of the confusion as well. Is there are a lot of different versions. Our version of it is whole foods plant based, doing the best we can, but the from day one we started out with no
Mhm,
meat, no dairy, no eggs, and
mhm,
like nothing with animal anything. So it couldn't even
mhm,
be in something we were eating, and
mhm.
we didn't know what we were doing. I had two different people that I looked up to that kept saying they were going to do a program. And I told them I went on the wait list. Like, I'm waiting for this program to come because I desperately need to change this. I think
Mhm,
both of them didn't realize how qualified they were to help someone
mhm,
because as far as I know, they still haven't got a program together. And it's, 5.5 years later. But I couldn't wait any longer. I felt like I wasn't going to make it long enough to wait
mhm,
until they got something. So I started doing what I knew how to do, which was I
mhm,
knew beans and rice were were something that we could have. It
mhm,
was very simple, but that's where we started
mhm.
is we had beans and rice until I figured out, wait a minute, we can cook other things. We can eat other things. And so
Beans and rice can get old after a while, I'm just gonna say.
well, my husband is the one that, like, I guess I was signed up to eat beans and rice. Like, in my mind, I
Mhm,
was like, okay, I can do this. This
mhm.
is going to make me well. He was sitting, we were eating dinner one night and he goes, "Do you think that we might could have a variety of," and so I'm like,
Um,
"Oh, okay." But I had cooked my whole life. I
mhm,
love to cook. And I couldn't at first make the jump
mhm,
between all the things I'd been cooking forever,
mhm.
meat and potatoes in particular, in the,
Yes.
fats and the
Mhm,
fried and all of that. I was having a really hard time jumping over to cooking in a different way because I just wasn't comprehending. All I
mhm.
needed to do was like substitute things. I could change
Yes.
out things. It didn't have to be something that was drastic. We could vary from
Mhm,
the beans and rice. We could have a lot of other things. And I think watching videos and other people and being true to, I wrote down on the list what we were going to be
mhm.
true to not having and what we needed to add to our diet to make sure we were getting good stuff.
Yes.
Because you can go from plant based, or you can go into plant based and be very unhealthy by eating plant based junk food. And so we did our tour of that as well, just so you know.
Mhm.
Did not realize what we were doing. But now I feel like I can't imagine not being this way. I can't imagine not having the health that we have now.
Yeah.
It's drastic.
Okay, here's a question. You said plant-based junk food. It's like an oxymoron. What
Mhm.
kind of plant? Can you give me an example of a plant-based junk food?
Oh my goodness. So I don't want to get in trouble with saying the brand name, but there's little
Hmm.
chocolate cookies that have a cream filling.
Hmm.
Those are actually supposed to be plant-based or vegan. Well, the problem with that
Hmm.
is there's nothing in that's good for you. It's
Right.
not something that, builds you. It doesn't feed you.
Hmm.
It doesn't build your
Hmm.
body. It doesn't help your health. It takes
Hmm.
away from it.
Yeah.
So
I
lots of
think it's kind of like, back in the day when they said fat free. Remember fat free cookies, fat free, remember? And we were just doing this. Come to find out, they took out the fat but put in more sugar. So I think what you have to do is do your homework or have someone like Kim in your corner to say, not that but this, or you could substitute this for this, because I just think it's important to, you can't just jump in and, well, you did, but you had a partner in crime with you.
yeah,
But
I do.
I think it makes it easier when you have someone on your side who's doing it with you than if you're just doing it by yourself. So, Kim, I know that there's a lot of controversy around plant-based. So, you were the one who told me about John Sally and how he had been plant-based before people even knew what plant-based was, and how he pretty much saved his mother's life through plant-based. So, the first thing people think about plant-based is they're like, oh, I have to give up meat. So, can you kind of talk a little bit about, I need my protein because we think plant-based, we're not getting our protein.
So protein is a funny subject to me, and I want to say out loud, I am not trained in anything except my life and my experiences. So I have to say that out loud. I've done lots of research, but I don't want anyone to think that I am actually professionally trained in any way, Kat, because I am not.
Mhm.
But the research shows that protein, you would have to do a lot to not get enough protein on a plant-based diet if you're eating the
Mhm.
plants, because
Mhm.
the protein comes from meat from a cow because the cow eats the grass. So think about it. We're just
Mhm.
cutting out, the middle part of that, and we're going straight
Mhm.
to the plants.
Mhm.
Protein is in so many different ways. There's all kinds of tofus and tempehs, and
Mhm.
there's all kinds of jackfruit, and just all kinds of ways to get the meat
Mhm.
taste or the meat texture that we
Mhm.
spent our lives having. And
Mhm.
you don't want to do something, in my opinion, you don't want to do something that's miserable every day. If you're doing
Right.
something and it's miserable every day, one,
Mhm.
you're not going to stick to it, but you're also not going to be happy, like a
Mhm.
happy camper, because you're going to
Mhm.
be wanting something you feel like you're being deprived
Mhm.
from. And I can
Absolutely.
promise we don't feel deprived. We get plenty of
Mhm.
protein, we get plenty of all the things that we
Mhm.
need. And it's been an amazing journey.
Oh, yes. I've been reading a lot about athletes, like, I don't want to say huge athletes. I mean, athletes who are big in their sport. Let me put it that way. And they're plant-based and I mean, they're just like, this is the best thing ever. They're stronger, they're quicker, they're jumping higher, they're doing all of these things. And I read an article that said that as humans, we weren't made so because of our teeth, we don't have the teeth to tear meat, and we weren't made to be able to digest meat. Is that true?
I think it's true, Kat. I can tell you the difference
Hmm.
in, if you overeat on plants, you might feel
Hmm.
really full, but you don't have a
Hmm.
rock in your belly. If you
Yes.
overeat meat
Hmm.
in any way, sometimes if you even just eat meat, I always
Hmm.
had like a rock in my belly of, I didn't feel good after I did that. So
Hmm.
I think that's one of the proofs for me, is
Hmm.
that it doesn't feel good. I didn't feel good. And
Hmm.
so let me give you an example of something that happened, Kat, because everyone always wants to know how quick it takes effect, like the benefits take effect.
Mhm.
I started feeling good like day 3. I started feeling better and it just got better from there. But on day
Mhm.
67, I have a journal entry that talks about I don't know what happened today, but I suddenly have this energy that I need to go do stuff because I can't get rid of the energy. And it was like, I think this is what normal people feel like. I think this is how everybody else feels. And I've been over here like a slug feeling.
Mhm.
And so 67 days in, I feel like was the turning point for me. And honestly, I'm full throttle. I'm
Mhm.
well, Kat.
I do. I do. I do have to say that, okay, I am not fully plant-based. I'm doing some plant-based things. But when I eat the plant-based, number one, I'm full. So that's another myth. Can you debunk that myth about, because you're like, oh, how do I get full?
I love this question because we thought that too. We were going to starve to death. We're going to eat grass and we're going to starve to death. That's what's going to make us well. We're going to starve. I don't know if anyone else has been on every diet on the planet, but I think I have been throughout my lifetime. I've always been heavy. I've always had, trouble. I worried it was going to be one of those starvation diets. And I was signing up for the rest of my life to do it. So I was like really nervous about it.
Yeah, I would be
I'm an
nervous
eat-
too.
I'm an eater. I don't want to like
Mhm.
be hungry all the time. I don't like that feeling. I don't feel good when I'm hungry all the time. On
Mhm.
plant-based, you can eat as much as you want as long as you're eating the things that are actually plant-based and good for you.
Mhm.
One of the things, sorry, one of the things that I find amusing is that
Mhm.
we eat a lot. Like my husband and I both eat a
Mhm.
lot.
Mhm.
But in the first year, he dropped over 100 pounds without trying, and I dropped over 80 pounds without trying. We were eating and looking at each other like, how can we eat this much food and
And lose weight.
still drop this weight? Like, it was just a crazy feeling of,
Mhm.
because anybody who's been on a starvation kind of diet, they know how hard that struggle is. And this is not that. Let me just be clear that this is
Yeah.
not that.
I
So,
think one of the things that I found that was working for me is I have a horrific sweet tooth. Horrific. It came from my mom and my dad. We had some kind of sweet, some kind of cake, cookie, pudding, something every day after dinner, with the exception of Saturday, because my mother didn't cook on Saturdays. And so I remember my husband cooked for me the very first time we were dating, and he puts this beautiful, I think it was chicken cacciatore in front of me, right? And I said, "Oh," I said, "What's for dessert?" He said, "There is no dessert." And I was like, "Aw, what do you mean?" So what I found eating plant-based is that it cuts my cravings. It like I was like, "Who am I?" My husband was like, "Do you want some chocolate?" I go, "No." He goes, "Wait, do you want some chocolate?" I go, "No." And he goes, "Who are you?" So I think that you just have to give it a chance. And like I said, I'm not fully plant-based. I'm not even halfway, but I'm taking those baby steps towards it because I think it's something, and I've been doing research. I've been looking at videos. I love it when I watch John Sally and he's debunking these myths about plant-based versus carnivore. And I swore up and
Mhm.
down I was a carnivore, but now I'm thinking, I don't know. Maybe I could go there. I'm almost there, Kim. I'm just saying.
And I think I was convinced from little that if you didn't eat meat, you would starve to
Mhm.
death. Like if you didn't have, and I think great marketing is what's behind that versus
Mhm.
real facts. Uh,
Mhm.
I think that that's the hard part for me as an adult now, looking back and thinking, oh my goodness, I believed all these things, but why did I
Mhm.
believe them? I want to be in control of
Mhm.
my own health and
Mhm.
my own life, but I'm letting commercials tell me what's good
Mhm.
for me, or I'm letting
Well, we all did,
someone else.
Kim.
Yeah.
Yeah. We all did. It was like, we saw these things, and I ate all the things, potatoes and all the things growing up. The difference though is that we would go outside after dinner and play.
Mhm.
So we were outside. But I think the other thing is whenever there's a new food documentary, I watch it because I want to, I want to think, okay, let me see what this has to say. And there's the same thing in each one is that it's not good for us. And there
Mhm.
are certain things that aren't good for us. Now, I'm not in any way, shape, or form telling people what to do or what to eat. You have to make that decision yourself. But when you start reading and you start seeing the same things over and over again, you're like, okay, wait. All right, have they been talking to each other? Like, because they keep saying the same thing. So I
So
just think it's amazing.
I'm of the opinion, Kat, that if you have never tried plant based, you can't say
Mhm,
it's not good for you. If you try it and it doesn't work
mhm,
for you in some way, because I don't
mhm,
know, I'm not a doctor.
mhm,
I will tell you, everyone who's ever been plant based with me that has started, and
mhm,
no one has ever not gone on because they
mhm,
felt so much better. And I think that's the difference is I wasn't looking. I mean, I spent my whole life wanting to get in my skinny jeans. Like I have a section in my closet that's I have a dream. I have a dream one day I will be in these clothes. But this time I was afraid I wasn't going to be in any jeans. I was afraid I was going to
mhm,
be not here anymore. So that changed it
mhm,
for me. And I decided instead of working on what I look like on the outside, I'm going to
mhm,
work on the inside because the inside is the
mhm.
plant based. Well, lo and behold, Kat, that was the secret my whole life. I didn't know
Mhm,
that that's why the weight came off. It and
mhm,
so I don't know how to say this except be very, I guess, dramatic about it. When
mhm,
you see someone pass away in front of you because they didn't take care of themselves,
mhm,
and you're looking at the things that they're not doing to take care of themselves, and you're looking at you
mhm,
and going, oh, I'm not doing that either. Like, I wanted my mama to take good care of herself.
mhm,
I wasn't taking good care of me.
mhm.
And so I didn't want to repeat that history for my family. Like, I didn't
Mhm.
want it to keep going. And I
It's
think that
really
that's,
sad
oh,
to see that with a family member.
it's heartbreaking. And it's
Mhm,
very, you talk about motivation coming from the outside. I think
mhm,
that's a good example of motivation for me is
mhm.
I didn't want to leave. I wasn't done. I'm not done here. And so by
Exactly.
making that choice, I feel like
Mhm.
I get to stay and play longer.
Yes, you do. My mom has been very unhealthy for years. I mean, it got to the point where I was saying, Mom, you need to move, you need to do this, blah, blah, blah. And she would give me excuses. And finally, I stopped because she didn't want to. But now my mother has a hard time getting around. She has back issues, knee issues. And when I'm with her, I make her eat salads. Okay, that's kind of rough. I don't make her eat salads because we had salad growing up. Like she would say, here's your salad, have your salad before dinner. But she, even through a salad, she's like, am I going to be full? And I go, yes, you're going to be full. And I think it's getting away from that, I have to eat meat to be full, especially for men. Because I think my husband is getting to a point now where we will have a plant-based meal with no meat. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is great.
I
So, Kim,
love
let me
that.
ask you this question. What was the hardest thing for you to overcome becoming plant-based? Or was there something you had to overcome to become plant-based?
So you're going to probably laugh at my answer, Kat, but the hardest thing to overcome was me because I had always done things a certain way and I didn't know how to do them different. And so
Mhm,
I had to really back up and unlearn. We don't have to have these things with every meal. We don't have to do this for every meal. And
mhm.
you're not going to die if you don't have meat. I think that that
True.
was some of
Mhm,
this, the mindset stuff that had to change
mhm,
is try this. If it doesn't work, I'm
mhm.
full grown. I can choose something different.
Different, yes.
I'm choosing Sunday, we will
Mhm.
celebrate 2,000 days plant based, which is a huge milestone. But we're so happy we can't wait for the next 2,000. Like
Mhm.
we're not just saying this because we want everybody to think we're something special. I think that's the
Mhm.
most important part to hear is I
Mhm.
think this works for whoever you are. I think it's something that will make you feel better. And I'm all for
Mhm.
feeling better at this point. I spent the first part of my
Yes.
life wanting to be cute. Now I don't care about the cute as much as I care about I want to, I want to chase
Mhm.
my grandbaby. I
Mhm.
want to do the things. We go on hikes and we do a
Mhm.
lot of things now that I couldn't even have done 10 years ago. And it's not that I was
Mhm. Uh-oh. I think we lost Kim. Oh, there
enough.
she is. Kim, we lost you just for a
Oh,
second.
sorry. I think my internet just cut out. Sorry.
No worries.
Sorry. I just didn't want anybody to think that I was bedbound when I was
Mhm.
talking about before. It's just
Mhm.
you get up in the morning and you don't feel good and you spend the whole day
Mhm.
waiting for bed to come back because you're
Mhm.
so tired. You're just extremely fatigued. And that's
Mhm.
what I don't miss. I'm so excited.
Mhm.
I don't have to think about that anymore.
Well, you get sick and tired of being sick and tired. And
That's
and it's a
exactly.
personal decision. You know, you think I'm ready to make a change, and you don't know where to go because there's so much out there. They're over here in your ear and over here in your ear. And, to talk to someone who has been so successful at it, like you have and your husband, I think it's a testament to what you're able to do today. Because when I first met you, you weren't hiking, you weren't walking, and now you're able to do those things. And I think that's amazing. So I'm clapping for you.
Thank you, Kat. You you came along at a perfect time because not only was I getting like the plant-based part right, but
Mhm.
getting when you're feeling that much energy, you need to do something with it. I I don't even know how to explain because I feel like my adult life wishing for more
Mhm.
energy and then all of a sudden
Mhm.
I have so much I'm like what am I going to do with it? Like I
Yeah.
could run faster than the car is what it felt like. I could do I
Mhm.
just felt like I was so excited because I
Mhm.
felt good.
And
And
keeping up with
that
that grandbaby too,
oh my goodness.
that's, I mean, that timing was almost perfect.
Oh, it was perfect, Kat. And I think you are so my person when it comes to movement things. You've taught me how to do, and I didn't even know the term functional movement, where I can
Mhm.
do all the things that I need to, and still I sleep good at
Mhm.
night. Let me say that after I've been there all day.
I bet you do.
But I also don't have to like
Mhm.
try. I don't crawl home or you know what I mean. I don't have
Mhm.
the horrible just I can't go on feeling. The
Mhm.
other thing I want to, if you don't care, I want to just mention is I think when you're going plant based, you have to find ways to make it easy. I think sometimes people get to the extreme of all or nothing, and I think they get to the
Mhm.
extreme of if it's not organic, if it's not all the labels.
Right.
I think you can make it really hard on yourself to stay in
Mhm.
this mode. We made what we called survival bags because
Mhm.
our point of, I'm going to say problems, is when we would get hungry and we'd been gone all day or whatever, and we would be
Mhm.
hungry and not have anything ready. That is a point
Mhm.
of it's real easy to veer off the path. I can't tell you how many diets in my
Mhm.
lifetime that's what got me off of them was I didn't set myself up to, I was too hungry. I was too tired.
Yeah.
I was making bad decisions.
Mhm.
And if you make a survival bag, which can be as simple as, beans and rice if you're willing
Mhm.
to do it, but It doesn't take
Mhm.
much to have something that this is my plan for the next time I
Mhm.
am starving and I can't think of what to cook. Here's
Mhm.
my survival bag. We have and I have to be careful brand wise. There is a fast food restaurant that we can get vegan stuff at that has
Mhm.
beans and rice in their menu. Let me just say that.
Mhm.
And we would call that particular restaurant bag. Like we would put all
Mhm.
the things in there to make sure we had taco shells that were
Mhm.
okay, and the beans and the rice that we could just heat up in the microwave if we had to.
Mhm.
I know a lot of people don't use their microwave anymore. I
Mhm.
get all of that, but whatever it takes for you to get to the place that you understand how this works.
Mhm.
Frozen veggies are a good hack. You don't have to chop everything that you buy from the grocery store.
Mhm.
You don't have to do it the hard way. We like easy buttons around here.
I was just
So,
thinking that.
yeah. We have what we call cookies that we make every
Mhm.
week that are oatmeal and bananas.
Mhm.
So it has different things in it, like maybe some weeks we do apples and
Mhm.
walnuts. Some weeks we do there are actually plant-based
Mhm.
chocolate chips. We do all different kinds of things just so that we're always satisfied.
Mhm.
And I think
Yeah.
that's another thing too. They're good for you,
Mhm.
and if
They're
you're
satisfying.
they're satisfying. They're
Mhm.
satisfying.
I
Easy
think one of
peasy.
the things that I do is if I walk in the door and I'm hungry, I stick my arm into the cupboard and whatever my hand grabs, oh,
Mhm,
chips. Okay. It's going in my mouth. So,
mhm.
Kim, what do you do when you go on vacation?
Well, Kat, I want to address the pantry real quick for us
Mhm.
before the vacation because we pack from our pantry to go
Mhm.
travel. Our pantry, if we're not wanting to eat that, if we're trying to not eat any even plant-based junk
Mhm.
food, we don't bring it home with us. So in my mind, I always want to save money. I'm a tightwad,
Mhm.
y'all, just so you know. Um, the big bag of chips at the store, if we really are going to be traveling and we're going to get a bag of chips, we try not to get
Mhm.
the big bag because we know we're
Right.
going to eat them all. We're going to eat them all.
Mhm.
So spend the extra and get one small bag, and then
Mhm.
make it harder to do the things that are not good for you.
Mhm.
Make it easier for the things that are good for you. I
Mhm.
think that's one of the biggest. And there was a light bulb moment hit me probably a year in because I'm
Mhm.
thinking old times, you stop and get a candy bar if you're snack hungry and you just can't wait for dinner, can't wait to get home.
Mhm.
Guess what? You can also stop. Most convenience stores now have apples and bananas. They have little fruit cups.
Mhm.
They have things that you can call your candy bar. You can reframe it in your
Mhm.
own mind that that's your candy bar. So
Mhm.
I'm going to stop and get a yellow candy bar because, you know,
Yeah.
it, it keeps me from being
Mhm.
starving when it comes time to make bad choices.
Mhm.
That's just the bottom line. I make bad choices when
Yeah.
I'm hungry or tired.
Well, don't we all? I think one of the things that I found when I first was starting out is that the things like you gave me this list of things and it was so much cheaper
Mhm.
than what I would have bought. And I'm like, wait, what? That's is that true?
So I think this might blow your mind, Kat, but the very
Mhm.
first year, and you guys, we're not super indulgent. Like we don't buy the finest ingredients. Like I just want to say that too before we went plant based. We saved probably more than $20,000 in the first year because we didn't eat out. We didn't
Mhm.
we didn't do the things that we had been doing. So if you're spending $30 through the drive-through at a fast food place, you can eat for several days on $30 if you
Mm-hmm.
buy things the right way.
Mm-hmm.
I think it saves a lot of money, and I can't tell you how much money we've saved over the whole time because we didn't keep
Mm-hmm.
track. But I know
Yeah.
it's been significant because
Mm-hmm.
even if you just took, 2,000 days and you saved $5 or $10 a day, add
That's a
that up.
lot of money.
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
Kim, I know you talk about batch cooking because it's just it's easier, and my husband and I have even started doing things like that so we can just pull out the fridge and go. So, what is it about batch cooking that just makes this easier for you?
So I think it's back to the not getting hungry. I think that that's
Mhm.
probably it. Every week, our goal is to make some sort of like bean or legume and some
Mhm.
sort of grain like rice or quinoa.
Mhm.
We have that in the fridge so we can just pull from it. So if we're having a salad, we'll pull out some beans and quinoa. If we're
Mhm.
having a soup, you also can do the same thing. You can pull out,
Mhm.
some barley that you made. Whatever it is you're
Mhm.
going to plan for the week, I think batching it is
Mhm.
so much easier because one, y'all, I'm just going to be honest. My husband does dishes. He likes to do dishes. We call him the suds buster. It's not my favorite thing when I have other things to do. So
Mhm.
when I'm busy, I don't want to do 5 days of dishes when I can
Mhm.
do one day of dishes and just put it in my plate and have it
Mhm.
done. And I think that if you if you don't like doing dishes, that's one suggestion. You also can save a lot of money. That's another thing.
Mhm.
But the other thing is it really is the easy button. How many times
Mhm.
do you spend over an hour cooking dinner, getting things prepped and things? If you do that once a week, you spend a couple hours once a week,
Mhm.
you can have food all week long. So, and it doesn't
I
mean you
love
have to eat
that.
doesn't mean you have to eat the same thing like the beans and rice we
Mhm.
were laughing about earlier. Because you can have beans and rice in a salad in a different way. You can have a taco
Mhm.
salad. You can have, beans and rice in a soup.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
whatever you're cutting up for the week or getting prepped for the week, you also
This
can. I love it. I love it. My husband does rock. I will say that. But
he's awesome.
if you are batching things, it makes it easier on so many levels.
Mhm. I can say that, we've made batches of rice, and then we've gotten frozen vegetables, and we
Mhm.
saute them and we put them in these little containers. And so I still work outside the home. So I grab one of those containers, I grab some fruit, and I'm good to go. If I have to look in the refrigerator and go, uh, I'm going to not eat. And then I'm going to start making bad decisions again.
Yeah, we're
Kim,
proponents
if
for no bad decisions.
Kim, what is the easy button for someone to start? Where do they start with plant-based?
Well, I'm not sure what everybody's easy button is, but I know for me,
Mhm.
I needed to start with one thing. I needed
Mhm.
to know how to make something. And actually, 5.5 years in, I will only do one new recipe a week if I want to try
Mhm.
something new because
Mhm.
if I try a bunch of different things, I don't really follow through with any of them.
Right.
So if you have a favorite, whatever your favorite
Mhm.
food is, find that
Mhm.
the substitutes for it. So if you
Mhm.
like something that has, you know, a certain kind of vegetable, learn how to make that vegetable plant-based. And don't laugh
Mhm.
because a lot of people unplant base their food by adding things that are not plant-based. So
Mhm.
start there. Start with what your favorite food
Mhm.
is. Find substitutes for it. And honestly, Kat, I feel like you can search almost any food and just put in plant-based or put in vegan or put in, something to make it find you those recipes, and just start with one thing. Try your favorite thing. Start there. If you have milk, do non-dairy milk.
Yeah.
Find the one you like. I think what I didn't understand in the beginning is there's not just one. Like there's many kinds. Like we like soy milk for some things, we like oat milk for other things, we like almond milk for other things. Try to find the milk you like if that's something. You can make homemade cheese, which blows my mind still. In about half an hour, I can make a block of plant-based cheese that's actually really good for you. And I am blown away by the fact that you can make it the whole stretchy thing, you can make it the melty thing, you can make it slice it. You can do all kinds of things if you start. So start
I
with
think I
one.
heard heads explode when you said that.
I know. I know. One of
Well, I
the
think one of my oh, go ahead, Kim.
no, go cat, because I can just keep talking about this forever. I love this topic.
I think two things that I got from you was one of my favorite things was yogurt and blueberries.
Mm,
And you had said there's a yogurt out there. I'm not going to say the name of it, but it's coconut and cashew. Now, folks, I am not a coconut girl. I am not a coconut girl. It's still my favorite thing. I buy this yogurt, I put my blueberries. So I'm kind of bougie. I put blueberries on the bottom, yogurt on the top, and blueberries on top of that, you know. And it's my go-to. The other thing I got from you was I make this shake. It's frozen fruit. Again, it's the yogurt, silken tofu, and I
mhm,
think it's organic maple syrup.
mhm.
Oh, man. It's my go-to on the weekends. Like if I'm super busy and I'm hungry, I make that up real quick and it's I love it. It's my go-to whenever, because sometimes I'm hungry, but I don't feel like chewing. And sometimes I'm just like, let me just make a shake. And I swear to you, it's 5 minutes. Once you realize what goes in it, you're like, boom, 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 and it's good to go. So I think it's amazing. You just have to experiment a little bit. And sometimes you taste something, you go, oh no, we're not doing that. But just experiment a little bit. You might be surprised at what you find that you're like, wow, this is pretty good.
You used the word go-to cat, and I think that that's a perfect word. When you have things that are your go-to things when you are
Mhm,
tired or you are having trouble deciding what you're going to have
mhm,
go-tos. Those are your survival bag things, so that you already like them. It may not even have
mhm,
been what you were hungry for, but you like it.
mhm,
So have those at the ready. Silken
mhm,
tofu comes in refrigerated, but it comes in
mhm,
shelf stable also. Like you can have that on hand in the pantry
mhm,
for days that you are, on the struggle bus and you're looking for
mhm,
something easy. Having cans of, like, I use a lot of
mhm,
beans. Like I
mhm,
do Instapot beans, but
mhm,
I also have canned what I call my emergency beans because it's easy. So I'll buy no
mhm,
salt ones so that I can control what's in them,
mhm,
and I have those so that I can pull them out.
mhm.
For lunch today was an emergency lunch. I'll just tell you, because I didn't plan what I needed to do today. I got off
Mhm,
track. That's what I'm gonna tell you. I was
mhm,
working on website stuff and just didn't stop. So I grabbed rice and a can of chickpeas and
mhm.
added broccoli and cauliflower. That's a
Wow.
great lunch, super simple.
Mhm,
You can add like spices or whatever to
mhm,
it. And I'm amazed at the spices as well. Your
mhm,
spices are your best friend. when you're
I was going
plant-based?
to ask you about the spices. That was my next question is what kind of, because people tend to think that eating plant-based can be very bland. What type of spices, because I love garlic, I love celery salt, I love all of these different things other than salt and pepper. So what kind of spices can you use to, jazz it up a little bit?
I kind of laugh because I think we're garlic addicts. That's what I call us because
We
we
are
love our
too.
garlic. Um, the cool part is, Kat, I know a long time ago there was like one brand really that was the no salt seasoning, and if you had to season everything with that one thing, that is so not true
Mhm.
today. You
Right.
can do your own spices of whatever. One of my
Mhm.
favorite things, and don't laugh, but I love ranch dressing. I love creamy. And when I
Yes.
first went plant based, I was struggling because there wasn't creamy that I understood
Mhm.
yet. And
Mhm.
so I would, that's what I missed. I would miss creamy foods. Well, now I
Mhm.
know how to do it like 27 different ways I can do it. And
Mhm.
fresh dill, if you add fresh dill to the yogurt that you were talking about for your blueberries, that
Mhm.
makes one of the best, like ranch kind of tasting salad dressings. You just thin it out a little bit and you put, I know,
Really? Who knew?
it's so good. And
Mhm.
so the challenge is taking the time, like spending a
Mhm.
little bit of time and finding one thing at a time.
Mhm.
Just find something you really like
Mhm.
and keep doing it. Like keep
Mhm.
substituting one more thing or one more thing.
Mhm.
We did go all in one day. Like we drew a line in the sand, and that was the last time we had
That was it.
anything. That was it. I wouldn't really recommend it sometimes unless you're looking at health
Mhm.
issues because it
Mhm.
I think it can be harder. But
Yeah.
if you start by, you're going to be plant-based for
Mhm.
one day a week and try it
Mhm.
and learn how to make it easy. I still
Mhm.
think the easy button is the biggest reason that people quit is they don't have one. They don't
Right.
make it easy. They make it complicated.
Mhm. Yeah. I'm very much a dip your toe in and then my ankle and then my calf. I got to ease. I'm not the jump in the deep end girl, never have been. But I think that when I add to, and one of the other recipes I think you said was rice, refried beans, and salsa. Okay, you
Mhm.
have no idea how good that is.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so filling. I
Yep.
mean, it's super easy. So this doesn't have to be this, you all these ingredients. I mean, you can if you have time, but it's like put it together, boom, 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 put it in your containers, put it in the fridge, and you could just grab and go. I love a grab and go. Kim, what about resources? Like if I'm brand new, I'm listening to you in this symposium, I'm like, this sounds really awesome. I need more information. Where do people go for more information about being plant-based?
Here's the thing, Kat. I have a business that has nothing to do with this. This is from
Mhm.
people asking us to share what we have done, is why we're
Mhm.
doing anything now. I can suggest a whole lot of places to go. There's
Mhm.
the Esselstons, which is like Plant Strong. They've got
Mhm.
YouTube channels that are amazing for recipes. They've got books out.
Mhm.
Well, Your World is another one of my favorites because
Mhm.
they are simple and easy things. I
Mhm.
don't want to detract from all the ones that are doing amazing work. I will
Mhm.
say we are, as of Sunday, we will be live on a YouTube channel because of our milestone and because my husband and I cook every week, and we've just decided we're going to let everybody in our kitchen. We're not going to make it a heavy lift. We're not
Mhm.
selling anything. We're not anything with that channel. We're
Mhm.
just going to be there so people can see what real life looks like when
Mhm.
you're plant based. And my husband's a hoot. I will tell you, you will be entertained thoroughly with him. And I will try my
So
best
Kim,
to give you all the hacks.
Will people be able to cook along with you while you're doing it, or just watch if that's what they wanted to do?
I think they could do both, but I am
Mhm,
going to be honest, Kat. Here's one of the struggles I'm having, even like putting this together, is I'm
mhm.
what my husband calls a concoctor. I'm not a recipe follower. So I am going to have to really struggle hard. He's supposed to help me
Mhm. Mhm.
measure things so that we can give you better measurements.
Mhm.
But I'm like, take a handful of this, and then you add this many shakes, and then you do that. That's
Do a
that's
little
how I
dance.
exactly do a little dance. Turn around 3 times with your spatula. So it ought to be entertaining if it's nothing else, but
Mhm.
we want to be encouragement for other people. A
Mhm.
friend of mine who started plant based within 6 months lost over 100 pounds. And
Mhm.
I feel like just being able to lose weight that you haven't been able to shed is one of the
Mhm.
big outward signs. But I can't
Mhm.
explain to you the difference on the inside. Brain fog is gone,
Mhm.
fatigue is gone,
Mhm.
my stress level is so much lower. I'm really high
Mhm.
strung by nature, like I'm very high strung.
Mhm.
It has been an amazing thing, the peacefulness. And I'm
Mhm.
still full throttle. I want to be clear about that. But I am so much more peaceful. I sleep better.
Mhm.
There's just so many symptoms that
Mhm.
disappeared we didn't realize. We were getting out of bed in the mornings and feeling like we were about 120 years old because we were aching everywhere.
Everywhere, yeah.
I think about 6 weeks in, my husband looks at me and
Mhm.
said, Are you having aches and pains? And it's like, oh no, I'm really not. And so a lot of things surprised
Mhm.
us. Um, One of the documentaries that I love that I'd love to suggest, Kat, is Game Changers. Game
Mhm.
Changers is a great one. Eating You Alive is another one. Those are ones that
Mhm.
I went to start learning myself, knowing
Mhm.
knowing I knew nothing at the time. Those
Mhm.
those really helped me. So
Mhm.
I I would be happy to give all the resources I have, but I'm just telling you,
Mhm.
I'm not good at this, Cat, because this is not what
I
I
think you're
I'm
doing
kind of in that
great.
position. Thank you. Kind of in the position as everybody keeps asking, so I
Mhm.
feel bad. I don't. I'm trying to
Mhm.
deliver, Cat. Trying to deliver.
Well, I think it's your track record, Kim. Consecutive days, not a couple days here and a couple days over there. And I think for anyone who we've maybe planted a seed about plant-based, and keep in mind, I'm not even 50% plant-based, but I'm starting to understand what it does for my body, is watch some of these documentaries just about the food that you're eating.
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
just watch that and you will be appalled, seriously. At
Yeah.
some you're going to go, "Wow, I've been putting this in my body."
Oh yeah.
But the one thing I love is going on social media and seeing people like, oh, meat is this. And, someone says, no, plant-based is this. And you have to get there yourself. No one can tell you.
Yeah.
It's just like exercising. You have to make that decision on your own to say, I want to start with those little baby steps like Kim was talking. Maybe it's reading a book, maybe it's reading a book and a documentary, maybe it's talking to someone that you know, or maybe you've heard from at work talking about plant-based. So it starts with this little seed and then it starts to grow because you want to know more. So, Kim, any last words about plant-based that you want to give to our audience that maybe we haven't covered? I think we've covered a lot of things today.
We have covered a lot, Kat. I really would like to give a challenge. I think the
Mhm.
challenge is if you don't feel good, do something about it. If you don't feel
Mhm.
good and you're on all kinds of medication, do something about it. And I'm not saying
Mhm.
that in lightness at all. I
Mhm.
understand. I was awful feeling bad all the
Mhm.
time. I just wouldn't wish for you to continue down a harder path than necessary if this
Mhm.
could be a solution for you.
Mhm.
So I think that's my challenge is try it. Try it and see
Mhm.
what happens. If you need help,
Mhm.
reach out to someone, like including us. We're not
Mhm.
telling you to reach out to just everybody else, not us, but it's a matter of trying it for yourself. When you
Mhm.
start feeling better, I guarantee you will understand more of what I'm talking about, why we will never go back.
Mhm. And I think health starts from the inside out all the time. It doesn't start from the outside and goes on the inside. It starts from the inside and comes out. And I want to leave this last thing. I know I've mentioned John Sally a couple times, but when his mom, I believe, had a heart attack, and he took her under his wing and he, helped her become plant-based. And I believe it was her cardiac surgeon who said, don't talk to any of my patients because, she was just in such good shape, meaning that she had recovered in such a way that it was so obvious. And you can't deny things like that. Now, if you want to or don't want to, then that's up to you. But if
Yeah.
you've been feeling bad, if you have been sluggish, if you're not feeling good, if you're not sleeping well, start to look at what you're doing and pick one thing that you could change. Maybe it's you want to start moving, and that's fine. Start with that. And then add in, the plant based. But maybe you say, this plant based thing sounds amazing. I want to do that first. Start with those baby steps. I cannot emphasize that enough. One small change can lead to an amazing health kind of, what's the word I'm looking for, Kim, where you just transform. It's a
Yeah.
transformation. I've seen you transform in front of my eyes, Kim. I've seen it.
Thank you, Kat.
And
I feel very
it's,
empowered.
yes, it's very empowering. And it's just one of those things that you don't know what you don't know until you do it. And then you go, oh, because I just want to say this one more time. When someone said plant based to me, I was like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then you try it and you go, oh, that's different.
Yes.
So, Kim, I want to thank you for being a two-timer,
I love that.
being on this symposium and talking about this, because I think we have to hear it so many times before we go, okay, I'm ready. And the more you hear it and the more you start talking about, the more research you start doing, the more, things that you start seeing and you go, okay, I'm going to do this. And I just think that what you and Troy are doing are amazing. I am going to be watching your YouTube channel. I'm just going to say, because,
Thank you, Kat.
I'm looking for a new recipe. I need something new now, and it's time to do this. And I'm hoping that at some point in my life that I'm able to just get 50% into plant-based. And I'm hoping that's next year. And that's my goal, is to get to that point where I can be 50% plant-based and less meat in my body and more fruits and vegetables and stuff that it's good for me. So, especially if I keep, moving. I need the energy. I need your energy, Kim, to keep it moving. So thank you, Kim, for being a part of this today. I so appreciate you. And tomorrow is day 5, you guys. Oh my gosh, day 5. And my guest is going to be Christine Meyer. Now, she's a two-timer also. She is going to be talking about sleep. Yes, and hacks to get our sleep and different things we can do for our sleep. So just like plant-based is a routine, you want to get your body into that routine of getting ready for bed. I'm not one of those people that can just say, up bedtime and go to bed. My body needs that, oh, we're getting ready. So just like with anything else, you got to get ready to get ready. What are you going to do? What does that look like? So until next time, you guys, actually, next time's going to be tomorrow. Bye. Thank you, Kim.